What is that? It's the unknown!
Hey, before we begin, just wanted to once again plug the Patreon. If you want to see your name in the end credits of my videos going forward, consider sparing me $5 a month to help fund my schooling. Alright, on with the video. A while back I analyzed quite a few analog horror series through a somewhat investigative lens. Well, today, I'm taking that to the extreme. Dead by Daylight is an asymmetric horror game that really pioneered the genre. It's one of the most successful asim games today, with arguably one of the most die-hard fanbases. Here's how getting into DBD usually works. You try the game out and realize that this is actually pretty hard and you'll probably end up dying a few times. Or if you're killer, not kill anyone. But hey, it has Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers. Maybe you should hang out for the killers you really like. But honestly for me, I prefer the original killers to the crossover ones. I love the Xenomorph, but in DVD I much prefer someone like the Oni, but I'm not showing him off to you just yet, because this video is not about the unknown, at least not how the unknown plays in DVD, well, sort of, but I genuinely believe that the unknown might be some of the best written horror in the entire game, and it all stems from what the unknown actually seems to represent. The unknown is Dead by Daylight's internet horror killer. Let me explain.
Bro whips his cock out and shoots a bomb.
I'm so glad I caught that on recording. Gearing up for March's annual chapter release, Dead by Daylight kept things shockingly under wraps. Like, there was no clue what this next chapter could really be. Now, it's not unlike Behavior, the developers behind DBD, to do something like this, but in the days leading up to the launch, there was almost nothing concrete. One of the supposed leaks that ended up being wrong suggested that the killer would be named the Stalker, and the survivor it comes with would be a male survivor named Derek. But aside from this fake leak, DBD fans were left scratching their heads. But then, we did have something to look at for guidance. On Instagram. By the way, if you made it this far in the video without clicking off, consider subscribing. It's free and you can back out at any time. First off, I want to thank DBD for making this the actual hardest ARG I've had to research, because everything I'm going to talk about, with the exception of one video, was only ever posted on Instagram. And even then, it's no longer on the main account for Dead by Daylight. I instead managed to find this on the DBD news account, as well as on Reddit, and some on Twitter. But even then, I wasn't able to find everything in one place. So if you see your name on screen now, I want to thank you for contributing to helping me piece everything together. You guys are guarding the Library of Alexandria for this. And this is because of how they used Instagram. For those who don't use it, Instagram allows users to post a story, a post that pops up on a daily timeline. But once 24 hours is passed, they are permanently deleted. This was the case for many teasers put out by the Dead by Daylight account. As much as I love the topic at hand, holy shit did they make my work difficult. But before we can analyze any one piece of information, I feel I want to explain what makes this so interesting to me. Because it's not just different stories spelled out for us or different formats, it's both. Seeing one encounter written as text message, while another is an email from a concerned roommate, makes it overall just feel more real. Think about it. If every UFO encounter was discovered in the same way, it wouldn't be such a widespread phenomenon and conspiracy. By the way, I don't believe we've been visited by saucer aliens. This was just a good example. This format makes each individual encounter with the unknown into its own little horror story, all connected by something that consistently evades our understanding. A good comparison is actually, funnily enough, Through the Ring. I recently watched the first Ring movie with Postra, and what I found incredibly interesting about that first movie was just how little the characters within it understood what was going on. Their explanations for what was truly happening were different from one another, and it all ended up being wrong by the end. For example, the reason the rumor of Sadako calling her victims started is because the first batch of teens to watch the tape saw it in the cabin above where she was buried. She then called them on the phone connected to the cabin so they could hear her scratching against the well. This is only discovered less than 20 minutes before the movie ends, and it's an amazing revelation that answers the question of why Ryuji never received a call when he watched the video. This is the exact type of vibe I get from these unknown posts. So without further ado, let's get into the first indication of the unknown ever teased. The following short story was released on the DBD Instagram page on February 8th, 2024. I was on garbage duty. One of the boys usually offered to take care of it, but I was closing the diner alone with my friend Ashley. The cook had left an hour ago, and this was one of the last tasks we needed to take care of before we get home. "I'm going to grab a smoke and ask Tyler to pick me up," Ashley said. "I'll be back in a second to finish mopping." "It's fine, I'll do it when I'm done with the garbage. It will only take a minute." She smiled and walked out through the back door. I wasn't trying to be nice, I just wanted to leave as soon as possible. The diner was at the edge of the town and surrounded by forest. I dreaded staying around after dark. I always felt watching eyes whenever I walked to my car. I slung the bags over my shoulders and headed toward the back door. The dumpster was behind the diner, next to a picnic table where some of the staff sometimes took their break. I was surprised to see Ashley wasn't there, but she sometimes paced around the diner when she was on a call. I tossed the sticky garbage bags and wiped my hands with disgust. I hated garbage duty. I was about to head back inside when I noticed something glowing at my feet. Ashley's phone. I looked around, nervously. Ashley wasn't known for pranks. I picked it up and took my own phone from my back pocket. I wasn't sure what to do or who to call. I didn't have to. A voice called out from the darkness. Ashley's voice. "Ashley, this isn't funny," I said. I stepped into the forest. I didn't know how she had managed to navigate the trail in the dark. I had to turn on the flashlight to be able to see 2 feet in front of me. I let her voice guide me, but I still couldn't make out what she was saying. She sounded distant, distorted. "I want to go home," I insisted. "Please, can we get back to the diner now?" She either didn't hear me or pretended not to. I could tell I was close when I caught a glimpse of blonde hair in the distance.
"Hello, Tyler,"
she said. Her voice sounded hoarse and strained. "Is Tyler with you?" I asked, pointing the light ahead. I could see 2 figures. One of them, shorter, leaned against the trunk of a tree, while the other, taller, stood a little to the side. The first one must have been Ashley, but the second one looked wrong, twisted. The torso and the legs seemed to be facing different directions, as if they could have walked toward me without ever taking their eyes off Ashley. "I have your phone," I added.
"Hello, Tyler,"
she said again, but I could now see her lips never moved. Something didn't feel right.
"It's me,"
she started.
"Can you pick me up?"
she tried, hesitant.
"Me up? Pick me up. Tyler, it's me. Hello."
I caught a glimpse of something in the light. It looked like teeth, too many to count. A phone rang. Not mine, but Ashley's. Tyler was calling. The tall figure shifted and then it spoke. Its disembodied voice sounded almost exactly like my own.
"Home,"
it said.
"Please."
I ran without looking back, branches tearing at my skin, slicing my arms and cheeks. I reached the diner and threw myself inside, locking the back door behind me. I waited for a thump, a crash against the door, but it never came. I stood there for a while, still clutching Ashley's phone, and before gathering enough courage to sprint to my car. It's 3 a.m, and I don't know what to do. Tyler keeps calling Ashley's phone, but I don't know what I would tell him. I want to believe this is a cruel prank, but I can still hear it now, floating softly through my window, a voice, haunting and familiar, so close to my own.
"Please,"
it begs.
"I want to go home."
The next teaser released came in the form of a message post from a group called Green Peaks Road Neighbors, and reads as follows. "Hey neighbors, did anyone see or hear anything strange in the area last night? I got woken up around 2:30 a.m. by what sounded like someone rummaging around my backyard. So I opened the porch lights to see what it was, but I couldn't see anything at all. I got dressed and walked out onto my deck to get a closer look, but all I could make out was this weird buzzing noise, and what I thought was maybe whispering. As you know, our house was one of those that got egged a few months ago by some kids from Greenville High, so immediately I thought this was another one of their dumb pranks. I pulled out my phone to record and started walking towards the noise, hoping I'd catch them red-handed, but I found nothing. I couldn't tell where the sounds were coming from, so I went back inside. I obviously can't sleep now, so I'm listening to what I recorded, see attached. And I have to say, I'm really creeped out. Does this sound familiar to anyone? Attached as well were the following audio recordings. As we'd later find out, one of these noises is likely the unknown's voice, or rather, its reconstruction of a voice. More on that later. For now, let's move on to the next teaser, which took the form of a string of text messages. "Pizza tonight? Sounds good. I'll pick it up on my way home. Thank you. Love you. Love you too. Everything okay at home? Yeah, just cleaning. What's up? Got a notification from the security system. Saw something weird on the feed. Can you check the back door? Weird. What did it look like? Just a blur in front of the camera. It's too close to tell what it is. Raccoons, maybe. Maybe, but it had to be pretty tall. Camera's at eye level. Just checked. Nothing there. Door is locked too. Okay, thank you. We'll keep an eye on the little rascals. We should start leaving the garbage in the garage. Yeah, you're right. Working late? Yeah, sorry. Should have texted. Almost done. Everything okay? The neighbor's dog won't stop barking. Again? Third night in a row. I don't know what to do. I rang the neighbors. No one's home. The dog stopped barking, but he's whining now. It sounds wrong. I'll be there soon, wrapping up. I hope he's okay. Love you. Love you too. Hey, something's in the backyard again. It's too dark to see what it is. That was probably me. Stepped out 5 minutes ago. I thought I heard the neighbors. Wanted to check on the dog. Maybe stay inside until I get there. I can go talk to them after. Okay. It wasn't them anyway. Love you. Love you too. Pepperoni? I'll just grab 2 different ones. We'll have leftovers. Got the pizzas. Almost there. Lisa? Where did you go? This actually isn't the last time a security camera would be brought up and relevant, but we'll have to talk about that in due time. The next piece we got was an email that was sent to a woman named Mrs. Allen concerning her son, Ryan. Here's what the email reads. Hello, Mrs. Allen. I'm Ryan's roommate, Danny. I think we briefly saw each other during orientation week. Ryan mentioned where you worked a while back, and I found your email address on the company's website. I think something is wrong with Ryan. It started today. Ryan was excited to try a new trail on his daily run and said he'd meet me in the dining hall for breakfast after. He never showed up. I found him in our room after my first class of the day. He was scribbling at his desk. He was still there when I came back, hours later, sitting in the dark, still scribbling. He snapped out of a trance when I called his name and said he'd lost track of time. He seemed normal over dinner. When I asked about his day, he said he'd been busy studying. When we got back to our room, he left to take a shower and I got curious. I wanted to know what he was working on, so I waited until he was in the shower and looked at his desk. You'll find a picture attached to this email, but there were dozens of them. Under his bed, crammed between the mattress and the slats, hidden behind the blinds, littering the floor in his closet. I even found a single piece of paper under my pillow. I pretended like nothing happened, but shortly after we went to bed, I heard it again. The scratching of a pencil against paper. He'd started scribbling again. He's spiraling, and I don't think I can handle this on my own. I reached out to a resident assistant, but they can't do anything until something happens. I don't want to wait for that. Could you come and check on him? Danny. Alongside this is an image of one of Ryan's drawings, which seems to be a piece of the unknown's body, likely its neck. I think the implication here is that Ryan had an encounter with the unknown, one wherein he survived by not getting a clean look at it. However, simply seeing a piece of it was enough to drive him insane, and obsess over the little bit he did see. The next teaser we get actually ends up playing pretty heavily into the chapter, if I'm right that is, but it's another string of text messages. This time, it's a group chat between a group called Movie Crew. Guys, I just found something really disturbing on Sean's phone, and I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. He went camping with his friends this weekend. I went to pick him up this morning, but after an hour of waiting around, he still wasn't there. I kept texting and calling him, and he wasn't answering, so eventually I got fed up and just started walking up the trail to try and find him. I didn't find him, but I found his phone and a flashlight by the path. WTF? I was freaked out. I'm sorry I'm shaking so much right now. Typing is rough. Are you okay? Please just run to your car. I can leave work. I'll come get you. I went to check his phone to see if I could find info there about where he might be or what might have happened. When I unlocked it, the camera roll was open. What do I do? Are you in your car? Go, right now. Lock the doors. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm on my way. Let's look at the camera roll. Clearly there's nothing unusual until the last 3 photos, which seem to be in the same place, the woods where the phone was found. As mentioned, Sean was going camping with his friends, which seems to be this first of the 3 pictures. Try as I might, I can't seem to find anything wrong with this picture, which leads me to believe the unknown had not yet attacked and may not have even arrived until later. The next 2 photos, however, seem to have been taken in quick succession, with the camera aimed at a seemingly empty patch of woods before 3 fingers come into view of the camera, blurred by the flash. Given the length of what appears to be nails and the skin tone, I'm willing to bet these are the unknown's fingers, and Sean was taking a picture when he was attacked from behind. It seems whoever Sean's friends were likely also killed, given they never make an appearance. However, there may still be more to this particular story, which we'll get into later. Our next teaser was our first ever peek at what the unknown looked like in motion, as he appears in the bare edge of the frame in the security cam video. At first I thought this video might actually be the surveillance footage that was captured from the first string of text messages, but the dates just don't line up, with this video being captured days after the initial text messages. And that leads us to the final teaser, the biggest one yet. This video I'm about to show may not be for the faint of heart, and I mean that this time, because it's some really creepy, unsettling shit. The video is apparently recovered, unedited footage, taking place within a camper's tent. He comments on being able to hear walking outside his tent, as if whatever was out there was circling him. The next time the camera turns on, whatever was out there speaks out in an unsettling, inhuman voice. The zipper of the tent then begins unzipping. Slowly, we see a hand reach in, and the video ends. It's a quick, sudden jump scare, and one that I genuinely think may be one of the most effective I've seen in regards to this style of content. But this video was our one and only clue in regards to who this killer actually was, and this video led to quite a few theories. One thing we did know about this killer would be that they were able to mimic to some degree. Yes, I used the word. This led to the fan name The Mimic, and I gotta admit I'm really glad they decided against that name. One of the popular theories was that this was DBD's interpretation of one of two Native American mythological creatures, which for the purposes of this video will be renamed out of my attempt to respect others' beliefs. Hopefully the names I pick will be different enough that you know what I mean without me actively saying them. The first option was a Wendigo, a creature supposedly born from the consumption of human flesh through cannibalism. Supposedly, eating human flesh would drive the cannibal mad and feral, transforming them into monsters. The other option was a Fleshwalker, another Native American legend. Fleshwalkers were supposedly witches who possessed the ability to change their form to resemble animals or people, which made them terrifying monsters. In my opinion, both these options were totally possible, but this ended up not being the case. Or if it did, it's not quite obvious that that's what ended up happening. In either case, behavior went out of their way to confirm that this monster wouldn't be called either of those terms. The thing about the unknown is that its name is very applicable. We have no real clue what it is. Its backstory is literally multiple choice. A while back now in this video, I mentioned that I would bring up the importance of the movie crew group chat again, and this is where I'm going to follow through. I believe that the unedited footage that was recovered could have come from one of Sean's friends. All we really know about Sean and his disappearance is that it happened over the course of a camping trip. I think it's possible then that this video comes from one of the other people on that trip, but this theater is far more important than just explaining this group chat. For those who may not know your DBD lore, the unknown as a character is tied heavily into the characters of Michaela Reed and Sable Ward. The two were friends since a young age who took an interest in magic and the occult. It ends up being Sable who finds something shocking about the unknown. She managed to find its hunting grounds. Notably, every disappearance she attributed to the monster surrounded one location, a movie theater. It's likely that this is the theater where the members of the movie crew group chat worked, but it goes further still. This theater is also the place that Michaela disappeared. For those who don't know, in the DVD universe, a creature called the Entity abducts both survivors and killers to compete against one another for its entertainment and to satisfy its hunger. The way this usually happens is by enveloping them in some sort of black smoke, as is what happened to Michaela. Sable witnessed this, and after investigating the disappearance of two teenagers, discovered the black fog in the basement of the theater, transporting her into the Entity's realm. All of this led to the release of one last video, and this video shows us very simply Sable walking into the fog. The PTB then gave us our first full look at the unknown in all his glory. You already know I'm going to have a lot to say about this guy. Let me briefly summarize this guy's in-game backstory as written out, because it really just tells us a whole lot of nothing. Just some in-universe explanations as to what he could be and the addition of yet another victim to the count. As far as anyone can seem to tell, the unknown has been around for a long time, with it being credited as the cause to a disappearance during a seance in the 1800s. More recently in the 50s, it was credited with the disappearances of 5 teenagers attending a movie theater. The lights went down and nobody saw any of them again. One character, named Olivia, seems to be studying and tracking down the unknown, trying to make sense of it. Is this just a string of unrelated disappearances happening all over the country? Or is there actually something at play here? One thing is for sure, the stories are never ending. There are theories of the unknown being a supernatural entity, like a spirit or a demon. Others suggest he's an alien from an unknown planet. Perhaps the one with the most weight to it, however, comes from a government experiment, Project Apple Pie. This project was about inducing hypnotic suggestions into people. However, some stories claim they went so far as to open portals into alternate realities. Wherever the unknown came from remains a total mystery, but what it's doing here now and what summons it seems to be consistent, and this is where the ring comparisons flare up again. The biggest way to put yourself on the unknown's radar is to acknowledge it. Various stories seem to involve the unknown being summoned by those who wanted to learn more about it and visualized it in some way, such as through a drawing. Whatever this entity actually is, it thrives off of being indescribable, so putting a face to its lack of a name seems to offend it, or at least puts you on its radar as its next target. All of that is well and good, but how does he actually play? I'm gonna do my best to describe the unknown in DVD terms as someone who does not regularly use DVD terms. Typically, DVD killers are put into classes of a sort depending on their capabilities. Ghostface is a stealth killer since his power requires the use of stealth. Wraith is a mobility killer since his power allows for enhanced mobility. Trapper is a trap killer because, well, fucking duh. So where does the unknown fit into this? Well, he's kind of all over the place. First things first, this is a very anti-loop killer. As the unknown, you're capable of shooting your UVX, which is an organ that emerges from your neck. Bursts from this UVX can slow survivors down, but getting hit twice will actually injure them. If they're hit a third time, it's a down. This ability is pretty strong regarding survivor loops. In DVD, typically the maps are designed to allow maximum movement for both survivor and killer in a fair and balanced way. Survivors are naturally slower, but are capable of using windows, dropping pallets, or otherwise outmaneuvering the killer. To counter this enhanced movement, the Unknown's UVX will allow you to bring the fight to the survivor quickly and effectively. The Unknown is also somewhat of a trap killer, sort of. As the Unknown moves, it'll generate these husks. These husks on their own are typically harmless, however, as the Unknown, you have the ability to instantly teleport into one of them and begin moving. It makes for a great jump scare. Survivors are inclined to dispel these, but given how at any moment the former husk could become you, it adds tension by a lot. Also, they're just freaky. But that's not all the Unknown is capable of doing. The Unknown's perk loadout is okay, with one being a standout that will make normally tanky killers pseudo-stealth. The Unforeseen perk allows you to transfer your terror radius into a generator temporarily. Terror radius in DBD is a circle around the killer that lets survivors know that they're there without necessarily seeing them. You can see why getting rid of this is a massive benefit to a killer. It also grants them undetectable, which also removes the glowing red stain that indicates a killer's presence as well. Although I don't think this perk is actually super useful for the Unknown, I can see it being very useful for characters like, say, the Dredge, who can use their high mobility to essentially spring around the map with survivors unaware of their location. Or, put it on Wesker and everyone can have a good laugh when a generator now possesses the largest terror radius in the game. I really enjoyed playing as the Unknown. He strikes a perfect balance as a killer who's fun to use with no skill, and insanely rewarding the better you get at operating the UVX. Word of advice for newcomers. The blast effect of the UVX is actually capable of hitting people through walls. If a survivor rounds a corner, you should still fire, as they can be hit on the other side of that wall. But now I want to talk about the actual reason I wanted to make this video. I provided you with enough backstory and knowledge about the Unknown to give you an idea of what he's actually like to face. But now I want to talk about what separates him from the pack. I believe the Unknown is the ultimate internet horror killer. When I say internet horror though, what exactly do I mean? Internet horror is the term I use to describe the collective internet's brand of horror. Analog horror, creepypasta horror, you get the idea. The funny thing about the Unknown is that he seems to take inspiration from all over the place with internet horror. First and foremost, the immediate series that came to mind, at least for me, was the Mandela Catalog. This is a series about entities known as alternates, which lure you in to kill and replace you, often distorting your features in the process, exactly like how the Unknown operates. But further than that is the mystery surrounding both alternates and the Unknown. It's not quite clear where alternates came from or what they really are, only that they're there and they're numerous. With the Unknown, I'd argue that it's not even clear if there's just one of him, as Olivia finds reports of the Unknown not just dating back to the 1800s, but from all over the country as well. I just find it strange to think that one creature was able to live so long and travel so far. But where else does the Unknown come from? I think a big part of Unknown's appeal actually comes from, of all places, the Blair Witch Project. Here's a fun idea. Watch through the original Blair Witch Project again, but this time visualize that instead of the Blair Witch, they're actually facing the unknown. It actually lines up pretty perfectly with the behavior we've seen from him, from his fascination with simple, human-made objects, to his ability to mimic voices and sneak up on prey at indiscernible speed. Why do I bring the Blair Witch up when talking about internet horror? Well, if you don't know movie history, let me tell you, Blair Witch was huge because its primary platform before its release was online, using a fake website to document one of the characters' journals and build hype for the movie's release, sort of similar to the teasers that Behavior was releasing for The Unknown. In many ways, it was the first ARG ever, but there's still more. I'll admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Greylock, which is an analog horror series, but the similarities there as well astounded me. In Greylock, the main antagonists are manifestations of imagination, essentially top-secret experiments that toyed with the idea that human beings could create their own companions with their mind. The end result was that some of these imaginary friends were monstrous and murderous. But I think the method of creation and attack, being through imagination, bears a striking resemblance to how the unknown is summoned through attempts to imagine him. Attempts to give a face to the unknowable is what brings death in both Greylock and the world of the unknown. There are plenty of series like these that all feel like they could play some role in the unknown's origin. Speaking about that whole not wanting to be seen thing, how about SCP? SCP is yet another internet horror staple, and one of the many thoughts me and my friends initially had was that the unknown not wanting to be seen, photographed, or drawn reminded us a lot of SCP-96, the Shy Guy. I'm sure the unknown would absolutely qualify as an SCP. Like, even EXE creepypastas get referenced here. No, I'm not kidding. One of Unknown's backstories, and most likely the one that will get expanded on, is his history with Project Apple Pie. It's not clear what the end goal of this project actually was, but it dealt primarily with making victims hallucinate. One of these methods ended up being an add-on in the game, a game cartridge. A hypnotic game cartridge attached to an unknown entity. Where have I heard that before? Even if it's not in reference to any one specific video game creepypasta, it feels a lot like plenty of them. Arguably, the game cartridge is a stand-in for Polybius, which is one of the older internet horror stories. Polybius is supposedly an arcade cabinet that would brainwash its players into becoming aggressive and psychopathic, done as a military experiment. This story is fictional, and I feel like Behavior included this game cartridge as a nod to EXE horror, and the description and reference specifically to Polybius. I think there may be one reference I could think of that wasn't in some way connected to internet horror. Just look at this thing. Does it remind you of any particular classic horror movie, perhaps made by John Carpenter of Halloween fame? If this thing doesn't remind you of anything in particular, I got nothing to say to you. The Unknown, especially during his Mori animation, reminds me very much of The Thing, with how his back opens up like a jaw and the way he feeds being through these fleshy tubes. The UVX's appearance in general just strikes me as very The Thing. If you guys can think of any other characters you think that the Unknown may be referencing in his creation, design, or backstory, please let me know in the comments below. I'm excited to hear what others have to say about this character and all the cool new things they bring to the DBD table. And with that, I'm gonna have to close the curtains on this video. I know, this one is oddly long, and let me tell you, it took a while to make. I started writing this script day one of the PTB, the very first time we ever saw the Unknown in-game. Now, well, let's just say time has surely passed. If you did enjoy this video and want to see more like it, please let me know as well. I would love to cover other DBD killers such as Huntress or Dredge, and talk about what I really like about them. Probably not in the exact same format, but hey, the Unknown had a lot to go through that these others just kinda didn't. Thank you so much as always, be sure to check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Oh wait,
Okay,
I like
so you're
this
David.
map.
Hey.
Hi guys, it's me.
Hello, it's me, Sable. Who are you?
I'm Sable. Look at me, it's
Wow.
Sable.
Who's that?
Oh my god. Hey, it's me, Sable.
Oh. Oh god, this chased me. Oh, what the what the fuck are you? What the fuck are you? What the fuck are you?
Sables move out.
Sable's move out.
What the ew?
Hit you with my proboscis.
That's an axe.
My proboscis.
Fuck you, I flashlight saved. Fuck you. Why are there two of you?
I'm gonna eat your family.
Yeah, what? Did you just goop on me? What the fuck? Yeah, you're not. I'm injured.
The goopening. How is her footsteps?
Did you just break that with your fucking leg? Did you just contort your body and break? You're fucking nasty, dude.
No,
Wait,
I'm
did the
unknown.
killer just ask me if I've seen its dog?
Yep.
Oh yeah, it has voice lines that it's like it says things that like it stole from people it's killed.
Oh god, that's fucking disgusting, dude. Holy, get a life.
Have you noticed how it's dressed like Dwight?
It killed Dwight?
All right, David, you got this.
I don't like your friend very much. I'm gonna look at him aggressively. He's dead now.